Culture Club, and we're podcasting and live streaming. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to have you tuned in.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Shannon Johnson. I've been with Las Vegas Urban League WIC for about 4 years now. I currently work at our East location, which is located on Flamingo and Pecos. And I have my counterpart here with me. So go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. My name is LaWanda Torres. I'm on my 15th year here at the Las Vegas Urban League WIC, and it's a blessing. I'm so happy to be here, serving the community, serving all of you guys out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is very exciting for us. Appreciate you guys. If you could be so kind, though, before we get started, to hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. We need that, guys. We would appreciate it so we can keep you connected on what's going on, within our community, within our LVUL WIC community. So yeah, if you guys can do that for us, like right now, this minute, go ahead, just push those buttons.
Yes, but let's go ahead and get into it, Wanda. So today, I'm going to be discussing like what our podcast is going to consist of.
Yes.
So we're going to be updating our WIC families about the Similac formula recall. I know there's a lot of questions out there in the community about that. So we'll be discussing that.
Yes.
And we're also going to be touching on the WIC benefits. So we have an increase that has been approved for the fresh fruits and vegetables on the WIC program.
Yes.
More cash. So we'll be discussing that as well. And lastly, we have a very special guest that's going to join us later on our podcast. Yeah. That's going to be Mr. Dino Brown. He is the executive director for the Las Vegas Urban League Entrepreneurship Program.
Yes.
So we'll be talking with him and asking some questions so that you guys could get some great information about starting your own business.
Yeah, Dino's great. You guys are going to get a lot of information about that.
So let's just jump right into it, okay? So one of the questions we get is, what do I do if my formula is part of the Similac recall? Very good question. So what we have instilled is that there's a website that you can go to. It's www.similacrecall.com. Mm-hmm. And on that website, you'll be able to check the cans that you have. They'll have a lot number on there that you'll type into the website. And the website will be able to tell you yes or no if those cans are recalled.
Right.
The other option you have is to call our 1-800 number, and you can actually speak with a human being, and they can give you information on what you need to do and how you can feed your baby and what options you have.
Yes, yes. And then they'll be able to tell you, right then on the phone, if you're not able to find the lot number or understand the lot number process on the website, call that 800 number, that 866 number, and they'll be able to help you.
Yes, and it's been a very busy 2 weeks for me and Wanda. We've been going through this process with our participants, with our moms, and just trying to help them get through this recall. So we have been right along with you guys, and we're just glad that we've passed that chaos because it was very, very chaotic.
Very emotional. We were right there with the moms, foster moms, dads. They were having issues as well. So we were right there on the front line with you guys during all of this. And we're still taking some calls. We're getting some that are still a little confused. But later on, I think Shannon has a list of the ones that you can get. So we'll get that for you guys a little bit later. There's a question here. It says the actual formula cans that they're actually able to get.
Right, as you stated earlier. So now we're asking, okay, we're dealing with the Similac recall. Right. My baby's on Similac. Well, what formula are you providing?
Right.
So we have quite a few options available. So what I suggest you guys do is just give us a call, and we'll be able to give you those options on what we're providing right now during this recall.
Yes. Yep. We can give it to you right there. It's some Infamil products, a few. It's just a very long list. We just rather you guys give us a call here at the office, and then we could just, even if you're at the store, call us. And when you're in the aisle of the formula aisle, give us a call, and we could walk you through the, the UPC code. We can even give you that and tell you the exact can that you're able to get for now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep, and then there's another question here. It says, can I go back to breastfeeding instead of using formula? And that's an absolute yes. You can definitely relactate is what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process and it's not very hard. It's a really easy process. Give us a call. We can walk you through it. We have probably one of the best, not probably. We have the best breastfeeding team in Nevada.
Yes.
Hands down. Samaje Bruce. We have Hilda. If you need Spanish, Hilda will be able to help you through that process. And
Just give us a call. We're here for you guys. Give us a call. Any questions you have, we're here for you.
Yep. And then also, how do I turn in my cans that have been recalled? Great question. Please do not discard the cans that have been recalled. Bring them in to the office, your local WIC office, whichever is convenient for you. Bring them in. Please do not discard of them. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You can drop them off. No appointment necessary. Right. And we'll get it back to the state and have it properly discarded.
Yes. So another question that we get a lot in the community that we're serving is that I just had a baby. What should I do? So that is a great question. And again, I'm going to say, give us a call because we'll be able to create a game plan based on your baby's feeding needs, whether that's breastfeeding or whether that's formula. We have options available for you because I can understand as a mom just giving birth, you're trying to get a game plan. You're trying to go through things and figure out how am I going to feed my baby during a recall? Mm-hmm. And that's where WIC steps in and helps you with that question.
Yep. First things first, call WIC. Call your mother and all of them, let them know you got a baby. But after those calls, call us and then we got you. We'll guide you right through the formula, the breastfeeding process. So call us and we will help you.
Absolutely. So now let's go ahead and discuss what we call our cash value benefit package increase.
Yeah.
Keyword cash. We all like cash, right? I like cash.
I love it.
Right. So the Biden administration has approved plans for the federal fiscal year of 2023, and he has increased the fresh fruits and vegetables for the WIC program.
Yes.
And that it'll be all the way through September of 2022. Okay?
Right.
Yes, 2. So again, what does that mean? What exactly is the cash value benefit package? That means for our WIC participants, you will receive an increase in fresh fruits and vegetables for anyone that's on the program that is 1 year old or older. Also, mothers that are partially or fully breastfeeding will receive increases as well.
Yes.
And you may be wondering, well, how much of an increase?
It's a pretty considerable amount.
It is. It definitely is. So it just depends on who's on the program. So for a child, you will see an increase to $24.
You were getting $9
$9
prior. So now you're able to get 24.
For pregnant, postpartum, and some breastfeeding women, they will receive $43. And then if you're fully breastfeeding, you receive $47.
Yeah.
Now check this out. If you're feeding multiples,
twins,
triplets,
or
triplets, you will receive $70 for fresh fruits and vegetables,
which is great.
It is awesome. So also included in that cash value benefit, which we here at the WIC office acronym it as CVB. You'll hear us say CVB a lot. That is going to be something that you can use also for frozen. You don't just have to buy fresh. You can buy frozen. You can buy fruit cups. You can also buy exotic fruit. So if you want the jackfruit or...
Which I didn't know.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. You can also buy exotic fruit with that. So especially now with the increase in fruits and vegetables and food period.
It opened up a more broader...
I think this is great for our participants. I think it's really great for our participants.
Yep, and that's fantastic and really great information to keep, our WIC moms current. We need you to have all the up-to-date information. when we get it, we want to share it with you guys. So, you won't be wondering, or you're at the store, or you hear from other people, we want to give it to you current and accurate information.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with all of that, we're delighted. We love Dino Brown. We're gonna introduce him right now. He is our Executive Director for the LVUL Entrepreneurship Program.
Yes.
Please welcome Dino Brown.
Welcome
Hi,
to the
Dino.
show. Welcome to
Good
the
morning. How are you
show.
doing?
Well, happy to have you here.
Glad to be here. Extremely excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for that great introduction on what's going on with the WIC program. Fantastic things happening. So I'm so happy to be on to be able to hear that.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown. It's a pleasure to have you here on our podcast. Now, we have a program where participants are on the WIC program are extremely talented. And although they are receiving a WIC, a lot of our mothers have talents that can lead to a better lifestyle and becoming a small business owner.
Yes.
And we have a lot of mothers that do hair, nails, makeup, and some that even do housekeeping and cooking.
That. Yes.
So we want to address some of the ways, if they have these skills, on how they can start their own business. So what is the first step in getting a business started?
So Shannon, I'm going to basically use the question you gave about 3 or 4 minutes ago. When someone calls you and says, I just had a baby, what do I do? It's the same type of question, right? So there's no one first step. So I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 steps I think a small business owner should follow to get a small business started. The first thing you need is an idea, or at least a skill that you may have that you think you can turn into a small business. Once you have that idea as to what type of product or service you want to have in the marketplace, you have to think about a couple of things. Number one, what is the need in the marketplace for that product? Make sure you have to verify that there is a need for. I'll use your beauty examples, right? Getting your hair done, getting your nails done, makeup, beauty, right? In many communities that we serve, right? Beauty is very important. So there is definitely a need in the marketplace for for beautification, if you will. So what I'll say is, once you establish it, that there's a need in the marketplace, figure out, and I'll use the same analogy with hair and nails and beauty. What's going to make your business different, right? What's your point of differentiation? There are lots of people that do hair. What's going to make you as a beautician better than somebody else? What's going to make people come to you? How are you going to market your product? How are you going to get your name out there? You're going to do it via radio, via television, via social media. You have to think about how you're going to get those people that you want to come to you, right? And so once you establish that there's a need in the marketplace and that you have the skills and the wherewithal to satisfy that need, there are a couple of things that you're going to have to do here in the state of Nevada. Number one, you're going to have to get a business license. And there are a couple of different ways to do this. Number one, you're going to have to get a Nevada state business license. And depending on the type of business, you may have to get other licenses. So you may have to get a city license, city of Las Vegas license. And let's say you have something like a mobile food business, right? Or a food truck. Depending on where that food truck goes, you may need to get zoning licenses. For example, if you walk them down the strip today, you won't see a food truck just camped out in front of a hotel. You have to have a license, depending on where you park your food truck, to be allowed to sell food on the strip, which is why you won't see food trucks on the strip. So depending on the type of business, there are lots of different licenses you may need to have. One thing that I tell clients, right, go to the state building, I believe it's 200 Water Street, and get a application for a fictitious business name. Even if you don't know what your name's going to be, get an application for a fictitious business name. Go to a bank, either your bank or another local bank, and open a business account separate from your own personal checking account or savings account. You want your business to be separate from your own personal life. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But again, just keep in mind that you have to do a lot of research and investigation into what is required. Go ahead and get this business started. Make sure you understand, again, not only your business model, but what your value proposition is, the need that you're satisfying in the marketplace, and who your customer is. Who's going to use your services? Where are they? What do they look like? What are their demographics? How much they make it? in a year? You know, where do they live? Where do you need to locate your business? These are all background things that need to be done before trying to venture out into a business.
Right. So, Dino, you were saying earlier about the need. The next question would be, have you seen an increase or a decrease in small business in Las Vegas since the pandemic?
It's a great question. I have a
increase or decrease.
Yep, it's a great question. It's a two-tiered answer, right? So once the pandemic hit, and I'll talk about Vegas specifically, in March of 2020, when the governor shut the economy down, brick and mortar or physical businesses that require people to walk in and out of their storefronts, those went away almost immediately. It was almost tragic to drive around the city and see how many buildings were up for sale, because a lot of those businesses closed. Over the course of 2020, what started to happen was the government tried to do two things. Number one, supplement all of the unemployment that was taking place by the stimulus package, and also what the government, the past administration, tried to do is give monies to small business. That had an interesting kind of effect, because while that was successful to some extent for businesses of color and minority businesses, they really didn't get a lot of those monies, unfortunately, and there are a lot of reasons for that I'll talk about. But so at first you saw a huge decrease, but over time, as we rolled into 2021 and we started to roll out different programs at the Entrepreneurship Center, we started to roll out what I call repivot and reestablishment of your business. How can you take what you were doing and change it, twist it around to be able to compete in this pandemic where people can't necessarily see one another? People are afraid to go out, number one. So, I've had restaurant owners who said, you know what, my restaurants are about to close. Well, you know what? I have an asset, and that is my ability to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and take what I do, and I'm going to create a cooking show, just like you see on Food Network. And I'm going to create my own line of recipes, and I'm going to go ahead and put them on YouTube. I'm going to put them on Instagram. I'm going to let people see who I am. I'm going to build my brand so that when this economy does reopen, they're going to know who Dino the chef is, and they're going to come to see me, and they're going to come to try my food, because I didn't stay idle. I stayed active and proactive with communicating with my customer base. So over time, I think what happened is we helped so many different small businesses reshift and repivot their business models that you started to see people start to pop up in 2022. So while businesses dropped off in 2020, in 2022, many businesses got started up. And again, there are a lot of drivers behind that. Number one, unemployment. Unemployment will get people to say, you know what, I've always wanted to do this on my own. So once you're unemployed, now you have some time and you get a little bit of money from the government.
Start thinking,
Go ahead and step out and try this business. Many small businesses who did get funding from the government to stay alive, they say, you know what, not only am I going to use this money to stay alive, I'm going to think about some other ideas that I've had and ways in which I can supplement my current business. So you saw a lot of different modifications to business. And a lot of new businesses start to pop up in the frame. We have a series of webinars and training workshops that I do called basically COVID-19 recovery strategies, because people are still suffering from COVID-19. I hate when I hear people say, post-pandemic. There is no post-pandemic. We're going to have to live with this for the rest of our lives. This is not going away. And so we have to make sure that our businesses are prepared and sheltered from the effects of this or any type of emergency. And that has to do with good business planning. And again, education to know what to do in case of emergency. So I know it's a little long-winded, but I just want to make sure.
Let's go. We got a couple more questions for you, Dino. Great information, though. That's stuff that you don't think about, but you've been thinking about it, but you didn't have the answer. So no, that's great.
And then when the emergency hits, it's too late.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
Right. Another question we have here is, can I still receive WIC while starting my business? Am I still able to get WIC?
And my answer to that is, my answer is absolutely. I don't see why not. Because what you're getting from WIC for your life's business is completely separate from your business or your business. What I mean by that is, and I said before, when I was talking about getting a business started, how I talked about getting a fictitious business name and a new bank account for your business,
Mhm.
what a lot of people do is that they start their business and they run it out of their own financials, which is a bad idea, because what happens is over a year's time, you lose track of what is personal
What is
and what
this?
is
What is
business.
that?
And if
Yes.
the IRS comes knocking on the door and you can't
Uh-oh.
provide an answer, you could be in a lot of trouble. So I tell
Right.
people all the time, separate your, we say this in life, right? Keep
Yeah.
your business separate from your personal. And the same thing with physical.
Absolutely. There you go. There you go. All right. So, which financial institutions are available to start a business and also with getting a business loan?
Sure. So I'll talk about the traditional first and the non-traditional. So your traditional big banks are guys like Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America. Out here in Nevada, you have Bank of Nevada, you have Nevada State Bank also. So I call those the big boys because those are more traditional banks, and to get a loan with them is very possible, but you have to have been in business and filed business taxes for the last 2 years. Many startups haven't done that because they're just starting up. So we
Right.
have something called micro lenders or alternative lenders. These are companies like DreamSpring or Nevada Business Opportunity Fund. These micro lenders make loans for much smaller amounts, and these lenders are a lot more. I won't say lenient, but they're a lot more understanding. So, for example, at those big institutions, you have to have a certain FICO score before they'll even consider you. So your credit rating has to be at a certain level before they'll consider you. These micro lenders, they will work with you, and if you have a less than nominal credit rating, they will work with you. Number one, to help you up that credit rating, and number two, to get you some monies to get you started, and continue to work with you to help graduate you along. The goal of these micro lenders is to build your business up, help you build your business up. At some point, you can go to a Wells Fargo or a J.P. Morgan Chase or BFA. They want to graduate you from them to one of the big boys.
There you go.
Right.
Perfectly said.
Awesome.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either. But speaking of financial institutions, I'm sorry, is there some sort of magical number as it relates to the startup costs?
And so the answer to that is no. It's a great question. And here's why. And in my opinion, and from the successful businesses that I've helped start, the amount of money that you need to start a business is really determined on a case-by-case business, depending upon the type, what the cost requirements are and what your own personal situation is. For example, if I've got bad credit, I'm not going to get a loan immediately. I may have to go look for some grants or what have you. But one thing is certain: what you have to make sure that you do is sit down. And again, I'm going to talk about the hard part of being a business owner in a couple of minutes. But you have to sit down and think about, what is everything that I need to start my business? So then when you do go to a micro lender or you do go to a big bank, you're going to say, look, to get this started, to get my hair shop started, I'm going to need this much for a building, this much for hair. I'm going to need this much for equipment, etc. Right? And then you go to a bank or a lender, and then hopefully you get approved, and then they'll make the loan. The biggest problem I see with minority small businesses and not even and non-minority small businesses, people say, well, you know what? If I just had $50,000, I can get this started. That's all I need. And see, what happens is you'll realize that $50,000, you could burn through that in like 3 or 4 months. And the last thing you do is go back to your bank and say, well, yeah, I'm sorry. I know I said
I need 50 more.
150,000, because guess what? Now your credibility is completely shot.
It's
a lot harder to go back and ask for more money.
You gotta have that plan.
All that shows the lender is that you didn't know how to plan. If you fail to plan, go ahead and plan to fail, because that's something that lenders see right through all the time. Don't underestimate. Don't shortchange yourself. I have so many small business owners that say, well, in the first year I won't pay myself. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And you walk into a bank and say, the bank will say, where's your salary? Well, I'm not going to pay myself for the first year. And they'll say, okay, well, we're done here. Because you're not thinking about what it means to run a business. You have to pay yourself. You have to live. And again, I talk about business and personal. That's what their life with their business, and that usually ends in tragedy, unfortunately, for the business.
Makes a lot of sense, Dino. Can you speak to us about the importance of credit you did earlier, but the importance of credit as it relates to starting a business. You did touch on that earlier.
Sure.
So,
There are a couple of things. So when I was talking about the difference between like the big banks, the Wells, the
right,
Chase, the B of A, right? If you don't have the requisite credit, you may have a piece of land, you may have a building, you may have something else that can be used as collateral. So if you have a substantial piece of collateral that you can put up to get a loan, that minimizes the amount of importance of your FICO score. Basically, the FICO score is basically it's a number that tells companies your propensity to pay back money loaned to you, if that makes sense,
right,
right? So the higher that number is, that means the greater the chance you're going to pay back monies that you borrowed. The lower it is, I mean, the less likely you are to pay it back. So again, when I talk about these micro lenders or alternative lenders who make loan amounts for much smaller amounts of money, they will work with you. They'll see maybe a 650, or who knows, maybe maybe you had a bad car accident and your credit score dropped. Maybe you were incarcerated, in the past. Microlenders will actually work with you to figure out what your situation is and give you advice on how to start to build that credit back. You may not get the amount of money you need right then, but they will start to work with you. And again,
Yeah.
plus
little,
individuals like
yeah,
myself and other people in the community that are interested in promoting small business, we will help. We will provide advice. One of the things that we do here at our entrepreneurship center, we have financial literacy series where we teach people, people and youth now about budgeting, about finance, about understanding your own income statement, understanding what a cash flow is, understanding children's education, understanding
yeah,
home ownership, right? Financial literacy in the community is what's going to drive our ability to, number one, improve our credit, and then number two, start new small businesses or better manage our own businesses of our own individual lives.
that part, that part. Let's segue into that. That exactly what you were saying, Dino. Does your program provide any legal assistance in
Great
setting
question.
up like the legal structure
Sure.
of business? So we talked about the credit, getting started, the mini banks prior to the big boy banks. What about the legal asset?
So
The assistance on that. Go ahead.
Sure. I didn't mean to cut you off, Luanda.
No, you're good.
I get so excited about this because I have so much.
I love that. That's good. That's
So
passion.
the direct answer is no. But let me tell you what we do, if you will. So at every new entrepreneur that comes, or small business owner that comes to me, I take them through a 2.5-hour class called 50 Rules for Entrepreneurship. And as a part of that class, I will run them through a list of questions that basically ask the question, are you really ready to be a small business owner or not? And I won't go into the details, but as a part of that presentation, I will give them education on the different types of legal structures that your business can be. So I will explain to you what a sole proprietorship is. I'll explain to you what a limited liability or LLC corporation is. I'll explain to you what a S corporation or a C corporation or even a B corporation is. What I will not give you legal advice because I'm not an attorney, and that would be illegal. But based on my experience, I will tell you, based on my experience and where I see you with regard to your understanding of legality, I'll tell you where I think you should go. Many small business startups start out sole proprietorships. It's fastest, cheapest way to get started. And then over time, as they continue to build their businesses and they continue to grow their revenues, and maybe they meet other individuals, other investors, they want to create partnerships. That's when you start to talk about things like an LLC or an S corporation or a C corporation. I always advise start a sole proprietorship,
Work your way.
and then I give advice on the different types of documentation that you're going to have to report periodically, either annually or semi-annually for each type of business structure. I won't give them legal advice, but I will direct them in the way that I need to make sure they get their business open as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Got it.
Great information.
Yes.
Now, Dino, does the LVUL entrepreneurship charge a fee for these services?
Good question.
So I have a double answer for that. So the answer is no, but at the same time the answer is yes. And let me explain. So the no comes from the fact that we are funded by private financial institutions, right?
Okay.
So many of them will not allow us to charge for our fees. There are other individuals in the space of helping entrepreneurs and small business that will charge fees for helping them to write a business plan or helping them to secure a loan. We don't do that because it would be considered a conflict of interest to our funders who've given us the money to operate.
Like
But
little specifics.
but it's not free. And what I mean by that is the cost comes in the labor and the determination and the hard work that you have to do to get a small business started. Many people think that starting their own business is easier than being an employee. It absolutely positively is not.
No days off.
In
No days
2015,
off.
in 2015, when I started, I'd say of half the people that walked into that training workshop, 50 Rules for Entrepreneurship, one of the questions I would ask is, are you comfortable not receiving a check every week? And I had a session, only 50% of those people came back the next week because the answer was no. Some people, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. People need a check. People have families. Either you're built for it or you're not. And if you're built for it, there are a lot of things that come along with that. That means the ability to take risks. That means determination. That means having passion for what it is that you're doing. And that's really like the secret weapon for success. And I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes as well.
Yeah. Several people have a desire to become their own boss or business owner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain from your perspective the difference in ideology as it relates to the person who is motivated or just passionate? Because I'm a very passionate person, but give us the motivated or just passionate about starting a business. Give us the difference between that.
So you see how I started to lead into that with the last question, right?
Yeah.
So right. If you're, and I hear it all the time. I want to be my own boss. I want to punch my own clock. I want to do A, B, C, and D. Those individuals are just in love with the notion of not being underneath the umbrella of an employer. But try and move them into the rain outside the umbrella, then they want to run right back into under the umbrella. So the individuals who are the most successful are the ones who love and have passion, for their business. If you don't have passion for it, you're not going to be successful. There are a lot of different things that are required of small business owners. And again, like I was saying before, it's a lot of work. And when you think about the small business owner and how they got started, at least with regard to minority small businesses, you're talking about the people that walk in to see us are your best-in-class practitioners. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? That means the best-in-class chef or cook, right? Or the best-in-class carpenter or construction worker, right? Best-in-class cook was my Aunt Mary. Thanksgivings, Christmas, everyone wanted to go to Aunt Mary's because she could throw down. Central American food, West Indian food, Italian food, doesn't matter. So over time, everyone said to her for years, you should do what? You should open a restaurant, right? And so many times, that's how restaurants get started. That's how construction workers open up their own construction firms. And the problem is, Aunt Mary, while she's a fantastic cook, she knows nothing about managing employees, right? She knows nothing about writing a menu. She knows nothing about managing her wait staff. She has no idea when waiters and waitresses are stealing from the cash register. These are all things that she needs. It's not her fault. Yeah. She needs to be trained on these things. So the key behind the best-in-class practitioner and successful small business owner is really education. You need to learn what it means to pay your taxes. You need to learn what it means to be able to handle, personal disputes between employees. You need to learn how to understand how to manage the office as well as cook. Because what does the best-in-class chef want to do? They want to be in the kitchen. They don't want to deal with this foolishness. This is foolishness, right? I use this analogy with some of the most resilient and fantastic business owners are childcare owners. And you guys know better than I do. We have something called the Early Childhood Connection. Yes, and I see WIC in the same way. You have individuals who are childcare owners, not because they want to go into business to make money. They go into childcare because they love doing childcare. They love children. They have no desire to understand, how to build a management dashboard. They're like, Dino, get out of here. I know how to do this, but they're still business owners. As such, they still have the responsibility to their children to provide quality service and to their employees who help them to make sure that they are a sustainable long-term business. and not here today and gone tomorrow like many small businesses are in the United States. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a perspective. So the individuals that love and have passion for what they do, those are the ones who are willing to put in the most effort, the stick-to-itiveness to see the journey through. Many people, right? But unless you love what you're doing, unless you have passion for it, chances are you're going to find something else to go and do. And chances are you're going to go right back to being an employee. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get that.
Right. But, that is the difference.
Right. But
exactly.
I have to dedicate my time to the people who really want to create a business and start to generate some familial wealth in the community. Everyone talks about the wealth gap between minorities and non-minorities. Everyone talks about it, and it's horrible, but no one does anything about it. And what we're trying to do is do something about creating generational wealth in the community, in our community. People that look like us, and people that look close to us.
Yes.
That part, Dito. Well, how long of a time frame does the Las Vegas Urban League Entrepreneur Center work with the client and getting their business started? What's the time frame?
So just like the question that you asked before about, is there a magical number in terms of the amount of cash you need? The time that we take with any client is totally customized to who the client is, what type of business, where they are in their business journey, if you will, and really what their wants are, and then we establish what their needs are. So someone can say, well, Dino, I want to have a hair salon, right? Well, I'm going to go ahead and do an assessment as to how ready you are to do that. Not can you do here? I know you can do here, but how ready are you to manage your business? Because again,
have a whole business,
right? Like I was saying before, right? And it's you could be the best hairdresser in the world, but if you don't understand how to run a business, you're going to run into trouble. So that being said, I have a model. It's called, you heard the phrase cradle to grave. I know you guys use that over at WIC, right? You want to provide services from the cradle all the way to the grave. You want to be that. You want to be a service to that client. I call my model cradle. When you come to me with an idea, I can do a bunch of business training workshops and webinars and give you education, but that's not enough unless I take you through the journey. You came to me because you want to be a small business owner.
Yes.
I can do 10 different webinars, but I'm not holding myself responsible unless I pick up your hand and say, look, this is how you use each piece of information. And now finally you're ready to go and get a loan. Now you're ready to go after a grant. Now you've written a business plan, which you didn't have before. Now you're ready. And again, I had a question yesterday. Someone called me up and said, will you write my business plan for me? I said, no. And she said, well, I thought that's what you did. I said, no, I'll teach you how to write a business plan. I'm not going to do it for you.
Right.
If I do it, what's going to happen when I'm gone?
Whose business plan is it?
Is it my business or your business? Right, exactly. So, again, I'm not done. We're not done as an entrepreneurship center until we have a satisfied, fully functional business owner. Now, what I will say to that, in addition, many individuals who come to us for education, they'll come and they'll stay with us for a while. Many of them go ahead, stay for a while, get started, and then I don't hear from them again. And the next time I hear from them is when they're dying and they need help.
Wow.
It's not just enough to get the information to get started. You have to keep coming back to get that continuous information because you haven't learned it in 3 months or 4 months or 5 months. It's an ongoing process. I have clients who I've been working with for more than 4 years now. And they've been successful businesses for more than 3. In the United States, 80% of small business owners have to close their businesses within the first 18 months of operation. That's an 80% failure rate. At our entrepreneurship center, since 2015, we've opened almost 200 new small businesses, and over 70% of those small businesses are still in business. We have flipped the national average on its rear end. And that's something we're very, very proud of.
Well, I got like a second part to that question, Dino. It says, additionally, some people look at opening a small business as a monumental task filled with red tape and barriers towards certain groups of people. Can you share with our listeners some of the success stories that you have encountered as a testimony that this process can truly work?
And so I'll just add to what you said. Not some people, many people look at starting a business as a bunch of red tape, and they feel as if the world is just against them in terms of the different places you have to kind of go through to get a small business started. Again, it all comes back to determination. All comes back to resiliency. It all comes back to heart. If you know, to use a sports analogy, right? Do you have the heart to do this? And so I'll talk about a couple of people. One success story of ours, a gentleman who I met back in, I want to say 1995, is a friend of the family. His name is Marshall Greer. Interesting background, but he was a former basketball player, played for the USBL, and he always liked cooking. Right?
Okay.
He went from that to become a math teacher for several years, and he had this idea. He loves to cook. He loves to cook outdoors. He moved to Vegas in '95, and out here in Vegas, we can barbecue. We can cook outdoors all year round because it's pretty good weather. And so he had this idea to come up with many African Americans that I know that I barbecue a lot myself. Right? When you put foil on your grill, I have a tendency I want to poke holes in my foil because for some reason I think that the heat comes through better to the meat when there are holes poked in the foil. So Marshall came up with a product that had basically rolls of foil that had pre-poked holes in it, right? And his product is called Grill Guard. Lo and behold, he got in bed with a couple of bad partners, which kind of happens during the journey sometimes. Lo and behold, he stuck to it, and Joy Mangano, who's an entrepreneur, she has this entrepreneurship show called America's Big Deal. You may have heard of it. Marshall got put on America's Big Deal, and in one night he made $30,000 in revenue. So he was on national TV, which completely blew him up, and he made $30,000 of revenue in one night. And so now his business is on a completely different level than it was prior.
That's so good.
Many individuals have, going back to talking about love and passion for what you have. I just spoke with one of my clients. She's kind of like my niece. Her name's Hope Whitworth, and she has a business called Imagine Events, and it's an events planning business. This is something that she's been doing. My daughter graduated in 2016. I had a graduation party at the Capitol Grill, and I said, "Well, who are we gonna get to decorate?" And her mom said, "Well, Hope will do it." I was like, "Okay, I didn't know she could do that." It wasn't an event; it was an experience. I mean, she had everything from video shows to just balloons. I mean, it's amazing. Awesome. And now she's got her own.
Plug it again. What's her name?
Sure. Her name is Hope Hope Whitworth, WHITWORTH.
Imagine Events.
Imagine EMAGINED events.
Okay.
If you look her up on Facebook, look her up on Twitter. She's doing a big Mother's Day event in May. If you look her up on Facebook, you'll see the advertisement for the event. Many people have become successful because they stuck to it. And I use 4 different phrases, right? You need patience, you need determination, you need resilience, and you need faith, right? Patience. One quick story. So you guys are familiar with Usain Bolt, right? Usain Bolt won 3 gold medals and 8 gold medals in 3 different Olympics. Yeah. Okay, he made more than $119 million just from the Olympics and endorsements.
Right.
Usain of 115 seconds in those 3 Olympics. That's the total amount of time that he ran. Because if you think about it, he runs the 100 and the 200, right? The 100 he can do in seconds less. 200 he can do in 20 seconds. So think about it. For 115 seconds of his life, he made $119. That's the economy of patience. But remember, he had to train for 20 years to get to that level. And when you think about something like that, when you keep the faith and you stick with what you love, right? You can get there. You can do this, right? But you have to love what you're doing. That's the secret sauce to me.
Absolutely.
Dino, you on it, man. That's it.
Yes.
That's it, right? That's the key to success.
Absolutely. You gotta stick to it in anything that you do. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here, Dino. But is there any additional information that you would like to share with our WIC moms and families regarding their role to becoming successful entrepreneurs?
I would say one of the most important thing is to understand that there are lots of organizations out there that provide help in the space of helping new small business owners. Some of the partners I work with, Nevada Women's Business Center, NVWBC.org, the Nevada Department of Business and Industry. there's a great website. It's called business.nv.gov. Business.nv.gov. They have something called a roadmap to small business, and it's literally like a map of like different highways, and along that map is things like training, naming your business, finances, getting funding, loans, and you can click on any one of those buttons and it takes you to a ton of different resources, many of them that are free that can help you get started on your journey.
That's awesome.
Yeah, reach out to me. I'm dino.brown@lvul.org. If you're thinking about starting a business,
thank you so much,
Dino.brown@lvul.org. I'm happy to help anyone.
Yes.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
So much free information out there and getting
Yes,
your
it is free
business
information.
started.
That's right.
So I love free things. So if anything, you may be seeing me, Dino.
you did say, you said before, you said you love cash and you love free. So those two are consistent.
All of that.
Well, it was definitely a pleasure.
A lot of information.
The pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Passing on
very valuable
this information to our WIC moms and just letting them know where they can go and get that business started. So I appreciate you, Dino, so much.
You the man, Dino.
Well, thank you.
And until next time, take care, okay?
You do.
Very valuable information.
Very good information. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have today. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I was learning information for myself.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I wrote down a lot. I learned a lot. And now we can pass all the knowledge on to you guys.
And we just want to tell you all, stay tuned because we have more podcasts coming up.
Ooh,
and
next podcast is going to be phenomenal. I know
gotta watch.
This one was phenomenal, but the next one's gonna be just as
off
phenomenal.
the chain.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you all, and just remember to be kind, be safe, be well.